You know, how may I serve others? And once you get into that mind frame, things start to change. Quieten the mind down and just think of the most serene area that you've ever been.
Good evening, Australia. Welcome to the show. I'm Michael Kuzilny. Tough times never last, but tough people do. We've been sitting here for quite a few years now, and down-to-earth, authentic and fun people have joined me on the couch. Peter Hilcke is a celebrity chef who grew up in the streets of Perth as a street kid, and you say, Peter, you're a rocker. Congratulations, Peter.
Absolutely.
On
Thank you.
your success and your health and your life. And that's what I like about the show. It's not planned.
Yeah.
It's like meeting a new mate, you know?
Absolutely.
But tell us about between 13 and 17, you grew up in WA. Mum was a Justice of the Peace, and you got into, stealing cars and doing burgs?
No stealing cars.
No stealing cars?
No stealing cars. I just literally break and enter into people's houses just looking for money.
Right.
At that stage. And it was actually really, really fascinating. But living on the streets, going through what you had to just to survive.
To survive.
You know,
Where was Dad at this time?
Well, Dad was working in radio.
He was in radio?
Yeah, he was in radio. So basically my parents had separated.
Mm-hmm.
And so Mum followed Dad over there. You know, you go through the situation. So many people go through that.
Sure.
And then all of a sudden, Mum met my stepfather. You know, I was a rebel anyway. I was not.
But the relationship with your stepfather, no good?
No.
No.
No. You know, look, it's one of those things. And who have you got around you to talk to? And that's such important. A big key question.
Yeah. Pete, that is interesting. So how long on the streets for, mucking up?
It was only for 3 months. It felt like about 3,000 years.
Yeah.
But it was that inevitable day that just really rings so clearly, is I break into one house and then all of a sudden the police were there.
And in the break, folks, Peter was saying how he spent hours in a cell, and I think that was the wake-up call to follow the right path. You're in a cell in Perth somewhere?
Yeah, in the Perth CIB.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at that, as I said, I've got no regrets in life.
No.
Because I am who I am, I am where I am now. But the beauty of it, I mean, it didn't end there, because once I actually left Perth, because I got kicked out of the state.
Did you?
By a judge.
Just unusual, isn't it?
Yeah, and then I came back to Melbourne, really being a rebel, and all of a sudden I lived with my sister for a while. It was argument after argument, and then I hitchhiked all the way from Melbourne. Firstly, I got a cab, which I think took me out to Epping Way, past there, $100 that I pinched from my sister, and she would laugh at that. But then after that, I did a lot of hitchhiking. I remember going through the Snowy Mountains, through Cooma. Amazing place. And I do remember it like yesterday. Just walking up, and this old Dodge 4-wheel drive just pulls up. This guy just offers me a lift. And it's one of those things when, you know, look, whether you believe in God or there's a higher being up there that looks after you all the time. And sometimes when I opened that door and I peeked in, and it was like a handle of a machete or something behind him, and I was like, no, I'm just going over there. And like, I'll never forget that. Wound my way through, jumped in a couple of trucks just outside of Yeppoon, got a truck ride that took me up to Townsville. And so I was, I was around about 15 and a half then.
Is that where you lived with the homeless people?
Yeah.
Who believed in Christ?
Yeah, when I first got to Townsville, I stayed with a family there. Then I was with this other group called the Jesus People. Mm-hmm. It was just a homeless shelter. Mm-hmm. So I really had to be very good on my feet to actually just lie to everyone, especially how old I am. And the great thing about it is I just got to know people and just being streetwise. And then eventually get to know people in town. Then I got my first job at a fruit salad place, cutting up fruit salad.
Amazing. And somewhere in the mix, you became a DJ as well.
Yeah,
We've got something in common.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things. Just doing that nut fruit salad, and then you start to get paid some money, and you start to enjoy life, and then you start going out hitting some of the nightclubs, get to know a few of the people that work behind the bars, and then you hear about a job going up. I can do that.
Amazing. And it's so interesting, viewers, speaking to Pete, because we're around about the same age, but we get to a stage in our life when we sort of trust in a higher power, and we sort of get guidance every single day, and we just surrender. So rather than trying to control life and think, why is this happening, or why did this happen, we just accept the as-isness of life, and we just surrender to the flow of life. And Pete's quite correct. You get all these miracles happening every single day and every week, and we know that it's almost like synchronicity. You're thinking about something, it happens, or you're trying to create something, and all the right things turn up. And you're so right. Whatever it is, we're being watched and cared for, because all the good people who show kindness and give, they usually have good lives, don't they?
Oh, look, they do, and I just think you need to. I think that one of the biggest things today is ego, and so many people live in ego, and I think. I've been taught now especially is how may I serve? How may I serve others? And once you get into that mind frame, things start to change.
I think I attracted you on the show because I think exactly the same. I wake up in the morning, and I'm sure Vera does too, but I think forget self, because we don't like those egos, live simply and scatter sunshine, But as a lawyer, I do the same. It's not about me. It's about, taking the suffering, almost that Buddhist philosophy, out of the person who might be going to court.
Yeah, look, absolutely, and I agree, and I do believe everyone's got their own destiny. Everyone's got their road that they've got to travel. And then every now and then when we get that hard knock, it's really the higher being who just says, hey, guess what? Get back on track.
Wow.
Start living your road, because if you go off track, and a lot of people do, you're living somebody else's road.
That's so true. That is so true. Pete, very, very interesting guest. We'll be back very shortly, folks, with Peter Hilcke, celebrity chef, but don't go away. And thank you very much for watching. I'm Michael Kuzilny, and I might as well throw my notes away. When I spoke to Pete in the break, we've got so much in common. He says to me, "It's your own show, Michael," and we don't want to be part of that herd mentality. I spent 10 years in the police force before I became a criminal defence lawyer. Pete spent 10 years in the Navy before he found his creative self. And I said, "Do you meditate?" He says, "Yes, I do meditate, Michael." So we can throw these notes away. I have this show, and it's also and Peter has a show called the Australian Seafood Show on Foxtel Aurora every Wednesday night at
7:30.
7:30, and you're also making some progress in the US now. You've got a show happening there.
Yeah, I've actually put a pitch forth.
Okay.
Over to the US for my own show, and it's
Peter Hilcke, the celebrity chef, and we better talk about why you're doing what you're doing. Where did the passion come from?
When I joined the Navy.
Right.
Yeah, I joined the Navy in 1987.
How was that?
I was 17.
1987, and I joined in 87 in the force.
There you go. Love it. And so pretty much went through, did the initial training, and I remember they put you through a test. Now, that very first test, and they come up with a list, and it would probably be pretty much with any university or going to school, and they say, well, these are your marks, this is what you can do. And my marks weren't that good. And they said, well, you can be a steward, a cook, a quartermaster gunner, or fire control, and I said, I'll cook. Because prior to the Navy, I was actually working at the South Townsville Hotel.
Right.
In Townsville. So I became a cook, and I just look at it and just say, well, travelling around the world, cooking was the most enjoyable thing I've ever done in my life. Because one, to walk into a building and join the Navy, and they got in a television set, they said, right, you've got the Army. Great. Nah. Air Force? Nah. And then the guy turns around to me and says, well, Pete, tell you what about if you travel overseas and we'll pay you to do it? Oh, done. Come on, I'm 17. So that really got the career in cooking. And because we're out there, we're out fishing quite a bit from the ships, and really just started to get the respect for seafood. And you get that respect, and everything I cook for today is about sustainable seafood.
Wow.
And it's about respect back to what we take from the ocean and the ecology of the species that are actually there.
Amazing. You love your seafood and you look very fit. Tell us about the business. It's a seafood...
It's a pop-up seafood restaurant.
A pop-up seafood... What does that mean?
Okay, so pretty much what I do is I actually go out, it could be, cafes, wine bars, restaurants, and ones that are struggling. And there's a lot of them that are, and to get more bums on seats. So there's a package of actually coming in doing matching wines, so a free wine tasting with seafood.
Wow.
Combine it all together. The great thing for the restaurateur, the owner, is they get a 50% net share profit.
Wow. Can I come along for dinner with you? Have a few wines?
Done.
I'd love that. Wouldn't that be lovely? What a great job he found himself, and he's now on TV talking about this. What do you do on the TV show? We both don't watch TV,
No.
not even ourselves. But let's start watching each other.
Well, I'm the chef on the Australian Seafood Show.
Yeah, I'm going to start watching you Wednesday nights on Aurora, national around Australia. And I think they get it in Tasmania and New Zealand as well, don't they?
I think so.
Yeah, Foxtel.
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, just the passion and just putting it all together and just having a bucket load of fun with people.
Wow.
That's what it's about.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. And I just think what I love about what you're doing with this show, and it's just like, you can do anything, you can be whoever you want to be. Live your destiny, as we've spoken about.
I love that. When I used to, when I grew up in Frankston, and I used to DJ at the 21st Century Dance Club, when we'd get cash in those days, remember?
Yeah.
After DJing, we'd get $150 or maybe $80. I'd always enjoy a good lobster mornay and a bottle of Brown Brothers Spadlexia. When you're young, remember the Brown Brothers?
Oh, yeah.
But are you sort of into the lobster mornay? Well, what's your favourite lobster dish?
Well, actually, we did lobster. We had a friend over who did lobster last night.
Yeah.
So it was lobster tails, and I do that with a burnt butter, with truffles and lemon zest.
Wow.
Which is absolutely beautiful. When you've just got this beautiful fragrance that comes from the truffles, that's actually cooked in with the butter, slightly burnt, so it's just slightly going brown. That's just beautiful, and it's...
I was going to say, your wife must be a very lucky lady, but you're probably like the panel beat, aren't you? You don't cook much at home, do you?
I do.
Do you do?
I do. I have to cook all the time. I like to play around with recipes, put them together with everything that I want to do in life and where I'm going. Yeah, absolutely. It's a matter of getting out there, getting in front of people, and just being who I am.
Tell us the journey, Peter. Where's the great man going, Peter Hilcke,
Well, the great man, my end point is... And you're going to love this one. And this actually came to me via meditation, mind you. So we can really resonate on this one. Standing on the rocks in Greece. Now, I've got there's a cameraman, a sound man, and the producer. I'm standing there, I've got my burner there, and there's an old Greek man. And I'm saying these words. I can't speak Greek. He can't speak English. But the universal speak is in this pot right here. And you got the waves, and when you've got that colour come through. And the great thing is to energise that picture, put it out there, step out of the picture, and just know that your journey is from A to Z, and the universe is going to give you certain ways to get there.
That's quite bizarre, folks, because I have the same picture, not cooking food, but just being there for some reason. That's part of when I meditate, I see the same picture. It's it's up on the hill there, and it's the blue and white buildings, and we're a little bit elevated, and we can see the beautiful sea, and I'm there as well. And folks, I've been talking about meditation a long time, and I see all the people in the courts being burnt out. Everybody's running around saying, "Are you busy?" But so many people are suffering from mental health issues. Do you find that, Pete?
Oh, look! I know in the cooking world, especially, a lot of chefs they go through. A lot of chefs will get burned out, and it's simply because they work long hours. And even the days when I was chefing, and you're really out there. All the time, you work, then you go straight to a pub, you have a few drinks with your mates, you go home. That's how it happens, and it's a matter of really, as you say, stop being busy, but be productive.
Be productive.
Right, use your time wisely, but it's also, what in my business, what I can outsource to somebody else to take the pressure off me, I'll do that in a heartbeat. And it frees me up. Because people say, oh, do you have time for yourself? I say, absolutely. Because just sitting with you now, this is my time.
It's a beautiful time.
And, you know, whether I'm could be having a beer with someone, could be having a wine, could be doing a barbecue on the 29th floor, which you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Done. That, to me, is my time.
Thank you very much. We'll have a short break and we'll talk about starting your own personal journey after the next break. And thank you so much for watching all over Australia. If you're going through some difficult times tonight, just go through the fire. Remember, tomorrow's another day. Everything in life's very impermanent. That's what I always think about when I have a bad day in court or have a few issues at home in a relationship. I think this too shall pass, because in life we really have those 10,000 joys and 10,000 sorrows, and nobody gets a leave pass on the sorrows. So all human beings go through problems. And a Buddhist friend said to me one time, Michael, he said, corpses have no problems, you know. So enjoy your life full of problems, no self-pity parties. And this man has certainly had a beautiful roller coaster, but doesn't life get better as we grow older and live more fearlessly, Pete?
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
Oprah said when she turned 50, before that she said she was very insecure, and she said, I got rid of the disease to please. And that's really one of the biggest fears, isn't it? Public speaking, because we're not worried about the speaking, but we're worried about others, what others may think.
Well, that's a really interesting point, because, you know, you have to be independent of the good opinion of others and also independent of the bad opinion of others.
I've never heard anyone say that except myself. I say that all the time. Wayne Dwyer. Be independent towards the... You grew up with him, didn't you, listening to his tapes?
Look,
You love Wayne, don't you?
I've got a couple of great mentors around me as well, and that's the great thing about life. And it's actually taking some people that are really living their life.
Yes.
And just having them around you. Just having them around you.
Who are your mentors?
There's one gentleman called Wilson Luna, who's from Sydney, absolutely extraordinary gentleman. You know, Wayne Dyer, just love him.
Amazing.
You know, amazing. Oh, geez. You know, there's just so many people that I do love. And
He's coming out soon, Wayne.
yeah, I have.
We should go.
That. Oh,
We should go.
absolutely.
Because I was the same. I've been listening to his tapes, you know, for years, and that got me into meditation and being independent towards the opinions of other people, you know. It's so important, isn't it?
Yeah, oh, look, it is. And I just think, and what I love about life is just like, yeah, okay, you may be going through what you're going through now, but guess what? Remember that time when you felt truly empowered and you could be doing whatever it was. You could have been doing the washing at home. Guess what? If you're having a bad day, go and do some washing. If that's what you love doing. You know, I've got friends, if they have a bad day, they like to go and cook. And it's like, go for it, cook.
Peter, what about all the tens of thousands of people on addictions who may be so depressed that they don't want to wake up the next day, or people who've just gone through a really difficult relationship bust up, and we both have, you know, can relate to that. Most people can. Those difficult times when you just think, wow, I just feel like drinking and smoking for a month, you know. How do they deal with that stress, you know, going to their workplace, putting a smile on their face when they're really sort of close to taking their lives?
Yeah, look, you have to talk to people. You've got to talk to people. I would honestly say don't talk to your family, though.
No. I agree.
This is my own opinion.
Yeah.
This is my own opinion. Don't talk to your family, because you're going to get different responses, and they're not always going to be the true response to help you. But just, you know, talk to friends.
I agree.
Everyone's got a next door neighbour. Talk to that person, because you never know. Just talking to someone else because you want help. You know what? They may want help with something else.
Well, that's right. We're all travelling companions, aren't we? Nobody gets out of this journey alive. And quite often we think, gee, that person's so successful and so confident. But if you really sat down, we all suffer. We're all perfectly imperfect, aren't we, Peter?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, except you, the great man, Peter Hilcke, celebrity chef. Watch this space. You got to do some amazing things in Australasia and the world.
Yeah, you know, my mentor says one thing. don't have a belief, have a knowing.
Oh, that's what I think.
Yeah,
Are you sure you're not tapping into my mind?
Yeah,
Hilcke?
absolutely.
Do we know each other from school?
But have that knowing, because look, I know where I'm going. On my thumb is my destiny.
Wow.
I've got my roadmap. That's where I'm headed.
You've got a clear roadmap. He's got a clear roadmap to his future, Your Honour. And what you, Your Honour, see, that's, I think I'm in court. Viewers, and what usually happens when you do meditate and have a calm mind, all that stuff you wanted and more turns up. And sometimes it takes you to a completely different journey, doesn't it?
Oh, it does.
Peter?
It does. And it's a beautiful place. And, you know, and I'd recommend for the people, anyone out there that hasn't meditated, you know, just do it for 5-10 minutes. Just do it for 5-10 minutes. Quiet the mind down and just think of the most serene area that you've ever been.
And if you need a quick book, I wrote a book called Meditate or Go Crazy. It's an e-book. It's the shortest book on meditation in the world, and you'd be surprised all the people around the world who do meditate. A lot of people do it now these days, don't they?
Oh, look, they do.
You know?
I remember listening to something, they were meditating in Washington, D.C. They got thousands upon thousands of people in there. And it was the lowest crime rate
Yes.
during that meditation in history
Yes.
in the US.
They're starting to use it in the courts, in the prisons, you know.
Exactly, so it's amazing.
I think Apple, they meditate, and but it certainly gives us a lot more space, doesn't it? Because our head's very much like a computer, isn't it?
Well, it is,
You know?
and we are so busy. And everyone says, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. And I says, okay, take a step back and just relax.
Well, Peter, it sounds like your life is just like a series of fun. Do you ever work?
I'm very productive.
Yeah.
I'm very productive.
Yeah.
And and it's just, you know what? Yeah, okay, it's taken 47 years for me to get to this stage.
Yep.
I tell you what, it is amazing. You know, I mean, for those people out there, and especially those people who've got businesses. Colonel Sanders, I mean, he was in his 60s, he was retired. A lot of people become so successful when they retire. You know.
What's your final recommendation to people who aren't really happy in their sheep mentality job and they want to break out and do something, but they're scared they might not be able to pay the bills?
That's real tough. The perturbation to actually just break through and do that, I've been going through that myself. And it's just like, you just keep going as much as you can. Find the opportunities and be present now.
That's great advice. God bless you, my friend.
God bless you.
Namaste, as our good friend says, and God bless you. Love and best wishes, and we'll see you next week. Good night.